I mean, I could have taken that money and invested it, and then I don't even need to be pretty. I could just be rich. If anything, he's probably better off getting plastic surgery himself than telling me to get my nose done. Hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobra's Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. So today's minimalism video is going to be why I refuse to get a nose job. Today's video is going to be another video of me decluttering social norms or social expectations or social notions that have just not really suited me and have caused me a lot of grief in the past. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about 6 points as to why I have refused to get a nose job. So if you're curious or just want to hear me talk about societal notions, then let's get right into it. Let's get it. Let's go. Woo. Okay, so number 1, where did it all start? So this actually came about a couple years ago. I would say probably 4 years ago. So this actually started off with a hate comment. I've been pretty blessed and I've never really had a lot of hate comments. I think probably no more than 2 or 3 through the entire 4 years that I've been a YouTuber. But one of them was, and I remember this quite vividly, I obviously don't have the screenshot because I deleted it, but the comment said, "You would look so much prettier if you got a nose job." And I'm sure that at the time, maybe he didn't really mean it like a hate comment, but I kind of took it, I didn't take it well. I was really shocked. I was really like, oh my God, what? Growing up, I've never been told there's anything wrong with my nose. My parents have been very kind and loving of my nose. My parents would say like, tu naricita es bien fina, which literally translates to like you have like a fine nose, a dainty nose. And the interesting thing about that one person's comment was like their picture was their face, and it was actually a Middle Eastern man whose nose more or less looked like mine. So I'll turn my head to the side so you guys can see what my nose looks like. I'm Latino, but a lot of people have asked me if I'm Persian, and I'm not Persian, but actually I do have some Iranian blood. My dad says on his side we have a lot of Arab blood, and he also says that like my grandma's parents were Polish Jewish people who came over from, during World War II to South America. So I do tend to have, I guess, genetically blood from people who tend to have typically larger noses. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I guess that's probably why like my nose is probably bigger. And so coming back to the person's image, he looked like me, or rather I looked like him. So the fact that he was telling me to change my nose was actually a reflection of himself. He didn't like his nose, so he didn't like my nose, if that makes any sense. It actually had nothing to do with me and everything to do with him, which I thought was really, really, really sad because there was clearly a lot of internalized self-hatred there. So that's actually the thing that I'm going to be talking about today, because although that comment has been 4 years ago, it's been some time, I did do a lot of like soul searching, and there was a period of time that I genuinely thought that if I got a nose job, maybe my social media would be better. But I've kind of come to a place where I've made the firm decision that I am not getting a nose job, and I don't know who needs to hear this, so that's why I'm making this video, because I do have a younger audience, and I wish that somebody had made this kind of video when I was younger. Especially now, I feel like plastic surgery is a lot more rampant than it was when I was growing up. As a 90s baby, plastic surgery was something that I think just celebrities got, or people who were severely disfigured might have got reconstructive surgery, or it was very hush-hush. I don't think many people knew about plastic surgery, not in the same way that like now we have YouTube videos like come along with me for my rhinoplasty. So I'm not knocking this, because I'm going to be talking into the next point. Like I'm actually very pro plastic surgery. I'm just talking about why myself, like for me, I made the decision. So anyway, number 2, who said it was okay? When I was in university, I came across a blogger. Her name is xoxo, and she's a Singaporean beauty blogger, and she's quite famously known for having multitudes of plastic surgeries. She's gotten her eyes done, she's gotten her nose done, she's gotten multiple rhinoplasties, some botched, she had to have some corrective ones. I love her. I think her channel is amazing. I was highly influenced by her and start a YouTube channel, so I do credit a lot of my humble beginnings to her. And so it was actually because of her that I was pro plastic surgery. I saw that she was very confident and owned her decisions, and I feel like that's how it should be. If you make a decision that's that heavy, there really ought to be no shame in your game. So I was still in university at the time, so it actually influenced me. I wanted to go to med school to be a plastic surgeon, if you would believe it. Yeah, I completely forgot about this dream. But yeah, I wanted to become a plastic surgeon because I remember her saying that you want to hate on the pretty girl, you want to hate on the girl who's got a great body, you want to hate on the girl who dresses well, but she works out, she watches her diet, she gets plastic surgery, she buys nice clothes. What are you doing? And that really resonated with me, that when we hate on people who have things that we don't have, it's because of our own insecurities and we try to project them on other people, kind of like that subscriber. I don't know if it was a subscriber, that hater, right? His own insecurities came out as a form of hatred onto me and my channel. Like, what does my nose have to do anything with his life, right? Like, he can't stand to see my face and my nose because he can't stand to see his own nose. If anything, he's probably better off getting plastic surgery himself than telling me to get my nose done. Okay, so coming to the next point about number 4, plastic surgery acceptance. So I was really, influenced. Joshua did a really good job of convincing me at that. And I do share this ideology that if there's something about you that truly is just making your life impossible and you really don't like it, and I agree with her, we all have the freedom to choose how we look. So I took that principle and to the best of my ability, I applied it. So I have had braces, so my teeth are really straight, and that's a vanity thing. Braces, I'm sure, are a lot more expensive than they are now, although they might be cheaper now with like the plastic tray, but they were $5,000. My mom got that for me when I was in grade 8, and then when I was in university, I got LASIK because I figured, having thick Coke bottles is just not really attractive if I want to start a YouTube channel. So I got myself some LASIK, which I think was like $6,000, and I could have taken that money and invested it, and then I don't even need to be pretty, I could just be rich. But my point being is that I'm very pro do what you want with your body. It's your body, as long as you're not harming others and hopefully not harming yourself. Why not, right? If it makes you feel confident, if it makes you feel beautiful, definitely. But I do think that there is a dark side to all of this. I think there are deeper social implications, and it's actually because of the deeper social implications that I will be shortly talking about that made me decide to actually not get a nose job. All right, so let's get into the 5th point, the social implications. So as I've grown older and I've become more educated and, gone to university and watched like more videos on YouTube and stuff like that, knowledge is power. I've learned more about, colonization and colonialism and kind of pretty much like the deep negative effects that have run very deep from colonial times, how like the European Eurocentric ideal has pretty much spread itself amongst people, because in some ways it's not really about, the Western face being, actually genetically superior to other races, but rather more so beauty standards follow the money. Whatever is in trend just follows the ruling class. And I've seen this because I've lived this. So when I was younger, at the time, what was on trend was people looking like Paris Hilton. The 90s were people who looked like Kate Moss and Paris Hilton. That was the beauty standard. And now that rappers are, doing quite well for themselves, what's the beauty standard? You got people like Nicki Minaj, you got people like Kylie who are not even black, looking black. It kind of revealed to me that there is some deep social implications about beauty and trends. It actually has nothing to do with what we perceive to truly be beautiful. Or there's this one plastic surgery channel that I follow, and I'm obviously not going to name it. And it's super informative. I love watching it because when I was doing my course on braces, there was a lot of like the symmetry of the nose and like the angulation and stuff like that. His video talks about that. So I really did enjoy watching it from a medical perspective. But in the video, he was saying that he tends to imply, and I don't know the race of the YouTuber, because they're a faceless channel, so you only hear the voice. Who knows what the person looks like? They tend to have kind of a bias that certain Eurocentric traits, plastic surgically wise, are more superior, which I have to say I disagree, because I've kind of learned that just by watching the way society actually behaves and progresses, we just want to look like whoever's on top. Whatever the ruling class is, whoever has the most money, whoever's the most perceived successful class, that's what we want to look like. And that brings me to my other points. Why does that matter? Because of a concept of pretty privilege. So what is privilege? I'll put like a descriptor here. Essentially, pretty privilege is this idea that your life is a lot easier or is a lot better, or you have like more congruent privileges or advantages if you are what society considers pretty. And obviously that varies from place to place. If you've seen on like those videos where it's like, show you the beauty standard from your culture, and there's like the ideal, and people tend to want to argue that the average face is what's most ideal, but I would say I disagree. I think that in most countries, people do have their own beauty standards. And if it is skewed, I would probably say it's more Eurocentric because of colonization. I think nations that are less colonized, although nowadays with like globalization, I think that this is starting to change already, but people's perception of beauty within their own culture has more to do with whatever the ruling class of their culture looks like, rather than any genetic set point of what is beautiful. So now that we've stated all of that, what does that have to do with my own idea of why my nose is just fine? I'm going to start off first with self-love. I think everything starts and ends with self-love. And I really don't want people to take this as like a cop-out, like, oh,
you just can't afford a nose job, or you're afraid to get your nose done.
Definitely those are factors, but those would not be factors that would stop me from getting a nose job. I really do believe in the law of manifestation. Everything that I've wanted in my life has come true. If getting a nose job was on that list, oh, you best believe, if not now, sooner or later, I would get a nose job. I've watched countless rhinoplasties. It's a medical procedure. There's involved risk regardless if you go to a good one or a bad one. Like, you don't know. It could come out botched. It might not. It might actually come out really nice. But that also was not even the reason. Like, I'd risk it if it's something that I wanted. LASIK, I could have gone blind. I still did it. My point being is, it actually came from a place of self-love. Truly, genuinely a place of self-love. And it didn't start with my nose first though. That's not where it started. It started with other stuff. It started with like me experimenting with wearing less makeup. Not wearing makeup is also considered undesirable in women. I quit dieting. I survived my anorexia. I experimented with like loving my body at a bigger size. I experimented with going against common social norms. It started with me being a rebel with that stuff. One of them was stopped straightening my hair. That was a big one. I have curly hair. It's funny, everything is on trend. Kylie has curly hair. Now all of a sudden everybody wants curly hair. Growing up, curly hair was a no-no. If you guys watched his diaries, you couldn't have curly hair. You were considered ugly. So I went against the social grain and I have curly hair. I went against the social grain. I stopped dyeing my hair. I always had brown hair for the longest time that I could remember because black hair is just, it's not cool. Now all of a sudden, everybody's got black hair. So go figure. There's a lot of things that I went against society first because those were extremely detrimental to my health. Like I was in a really messed up place emotionally from those things that by the time I got around to my nose, yo, I was a seasoned rebellion. I was like, I have a lot of self-love for myself. If I could love all of these things that society told me were ugly, snap, my nose, easy. I don't need other people to like my nose. I don't need the validation. I don't need external validation from other people to like my nose. And I know that you might argue,
well, Natalie, your nose is still Eurocentric, so you're allowed to say things like that.
It really, that's still not it either. I actually don't have a Eurocentric nose. Like, I'm just really good at contour because this is what I see everybody does their makeup, but I'm sure that if this nose was not in and they were like, put the highlighter on your nostrils, I'd be putting the highlight on my nostrils. Like, let me turn my head so you guys can see. I don't have a Eurocentric nose and I'm not bothered by it because it's a lot of self-love. And the last thing that I want to say, and I might make this point 7, and this is actually about just be the ruling class. So let me explain that in a little bit more depth and not in a braggy way. I've kind of seen with social media, and I got this tip from Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that is the well-to-do or like the ruling class or the rich class, whatever you want to call it. One of their key powers that the proletariats don't have. I know there's a lot of sociology terms that I'm throwing around, but I find this stuff really fascinating, so I thought I'd share this with you guys. I find social mobility to be really fascinating, and I think a lot of us do. I mean, that's the whole like rags to riches type of story. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to say is that Rich Dad Poor Dad said that one of the key aspects of the ruling class is propaganda and broadcasting. And that really spoke to me a lot. Who's ever on TV is the ruling class. That means that whatever you see on television is what other people want to be. So that becomes the beauty standard, is whatever you see. A good example of this is if you guys know Ollie London. He's a Westerner who was born with Eurocentric features, who made himself after countless surgeries, I don't want to say has arrived, but like has attempted to give himself Asian features, which when I was growing up, Asians were not cool. I mean, Asians are really cool now. I mean, I'm engaged to one, but what I'm trying to tell you is that the ruling class dictates what is in. So all I need to do is just keep doing me on YouTube, and people are just gonna see my face and associate that with the ruling class. Whatever's on television is what we'll want to be. So why would I change my face when I have the power to choose what others are viewing? And I got this idea, it's not something I came up with. There's a YouTuber that I follow, he's Taiwanese, and he was saying this in Taiwanese, right? So I'm not gonna butcher it by saying it in Mandarin, but I'll just translate what he had said. A lot of people will comment being all like, apparently I didn't think anything was wrong with his nose. Just a regular Asian nose, whatever the hell that means. They were like, you should get a nose job. Like, you would look so much better if you had like a sharper nose. I guess a more Eurocentric nose. They didn't use that word. They just said like, not such a big nose, right? And he's like, Mignon Cobra, like, don't worry. You may not like it now, but as you watch me longer, you'll get used to it. And he never got the nose job. And now people are like, he's so hot, he's so this. Like, when I realized that, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna change my nose. It doesn't matter what you look like. I know that may seem very hard to accept, and when I was younger, I couldn't fathom this. I thought you should follow the beauty standard. You should do your best to socially rise the ranks with your looks. Like, you should do your best. Like, if you just want to keep having a terrible life, well, then just keep looking like a bum. But it actually took being on social media for me to realize that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like, not just the eye of the beholder, but society as a whole, based on who's ever on top. Why should I change how I look? I'm not here saying I'm on top and that's why like I have the privilege to not change my face, but I've just seen time and time again is that looks is just a trend. So I'm just going to enjoy what my face looks like naturally, because this is my nose. And so if I can do my best to rock what I got because I have the privilege to do so, I'm gonna do so. So me changing my nose would imply that I'm submitting to a hierarchy. And I know that may sound very like,
oh my god, like you're going against the patriarchy.
yes, I am, and I'm having a great time. I decided between the two, submitting to the patriarchy, which was a miserable experience. Going against the patriarchy, I want to be the patriarchy, so my nose can become the standard. There'll be girls looking at my nose being all like, no, I'm kidding, please don't do that. Love your nose, that's what I'm trying to say. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I hope that this was some thought for anyone out there who's been struggling with maybe any other body part that they may be struggling with. I don't want to sit here and tell you, you know what, you're beautiful. That's something that needs to come from you, not from me. I had my own struggles, but I'm just trying to make a video on my own experience and hopefully that can help somebody else out. So, and between, you'll get used to, okay, well, the what do you call it? I've seen some, whatever is the, call deeper soul, so I was just like, oh, okay. The first societal notions, then that societal, yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.